Hello everyone, welcome back to the show. In today's video, I'll be going over a game I had recently in an over-the-board tournament. The time control was 90 minutes plus 30 seconds every move, and it was in Croatia. I recently went to Croatia to play a 9-round tournament. This was round one, and I was playing an 11-year-old kid, which is never good news round one, especially when they're rated 2100. Because it means that they're very good and probably underrated at 2100. Um, yeah, as you will see, I get absolutely smacked up. Basically, I'm just going to go through the game and just tell you where I went wrong. Originally, I wasn't going to post this game because, I mean, it's kind of a bit embarrassing. But I think it's very informative, and I always say to my students to look through the games that you lose in particular and see where you went wrong, because that's how you can improve the most. So I thought I'd record this video going through one of my most embarrassing losses, probably my most embarrassing loss that I can even think of at the moment. Um, yeah, just to show you guys that it's okay. Chess is about losing as much as it's about winning, and when you lose, all that matters is that you go through it and don't make the same mistakes and learn from it. So, without much further to do, let's get into the game. So I was black. We open with a Sicilian, an open Sicilian. We open with an open Sicilian. This is all standard theory. And I go into the much loved Sicilian Khan. I very much like this opening. It gives very aggressive chances for black and very dynamic play. If you're looking for a very aggressive opening as black against e4, look at the Sicilian Khan. I might make a video on the future, but there are lots of resources online for now that you can go check out. Yeah, so my opponent plays this move. Again, he's 11 years old and he chooses the most sharp continuation, which already alarm bells are going off in my head if they weren't already. Basically, this is what modern theory thinks is the sharpest line, and gives basically the game goes on a knife edge from here, because this bishop very well placed. If you're familiar with the London system, it's the same square for the same bishop. Um, it does undefend this knight, so I can come here and attack this knight, which is what I do. But I mean, here there are lots of other moves that white can play. I mean, this is a move, this is a move, this is a move, this is a move, even stuff like this is a move, and this is a move. So there are lots and lots of options, but like I said, my opponent chooses the most sharp option. And there are a few moves, but the main move really is this. And after knight back, again there are two choices that I can have. And I mean, this move here, I don't really like this move too much. This bishop, to me, feels a little bit misplaced. But basically what you're saying with this move is this bishop is better than this knight, right? They've just spent, a couple moves placing their knight on the queen side, when in reality it wants to be here on f3, or even still here on d4 in the center of the board. And this bishop can always reroute back into the game, maybe this way or something like this. And in reality, it is fine here. I just prefer it on a7, because here it's got a very, very nice scope on the king side, and obviously the opponent really wants to castle king side. And if they don't castle king side, then if they try and line their rooks up here, for example, for a big king side attack, this bishop does very good at controlling it, and also a good job at controlling these other central squares as well. So that's very nice. So the game continues. We're both just bringing our pieces out. This is fine. And here, I mean, it was quite obvious to me that my opponent was trying to trade off these dark square bishops. Now, here's where I make my first strategic mistake. In the Sicilian Khan, it is an opening principle. It's a known bit of the opening that this bishop for black is a very, very nice piece. That's why, we spent a few moves hiding it behind this pawn structure, so it can't really be attacked by the enemy knights, etc. Now, after this move, which, gaining space, trying to develop the light square bishop. Now, After this move, my opponent is obviously offering the trade of dark square bishops, and the the move here really is just to continue with my development. And if my opponent wants to take this piece, then he can. He's wasted a few moves um, moving this bishop and exchanging it for this one. And instead of going for a Khan structure, you then go for this kind of structure. This is what the computer recommends. And if they take, no biggie, just take back with the rook. And the rook's actually now doing a very, very nice job of defending the 7th rank. Moving both of these pawns has actually helped this rook gain some mobility. And it can actually come to any of these squares to 8 defense. And it's a little bit of a passive setup because you have lost your best piece. But it is much less passive than what I played in the game, which was bishop back here. I've played some games like this before, and this setup seems fine to me. It's just that was with the knight here on f3. My issue now is that with f4 and e5, this bishop just becomes absolutely shocking. Absolutely shocking. I wanted to use a worse word there, but I will get demonetized. So I shall not use expletives. Anyway, excuse me. Yeah, I mean, basically, this bishop will look pretty shocking for the rest of the game. This knight, if it was here, would be fine, but because it's here, it kind of allows this f5, f4, e5 push, which, like I say, blunts this bishop. Now, after castles, I kind of make another little mistake with coming knight here. I knew essentially that I needed to make a knight move. I just couldn't remember where to go with the knight. And pretty much the moment I came here with the knight, I was like, oh no. Now, basically, this e5 push comes with tempo because it attacks my knight and my knight will have to move. Essentially, the normal idea behind a push like this is just to go f5. And if they take en passant, just take with the knight. And you've sort of opened up the center a little bit and nullified their attack and their control. And otherwise, if they stay with a pawn structure like this, where you've got pawns here, then you've got very nice control. Hang on, how do I? Yeah, then you've got very nice control of these central squares, especially with the bishop here lined up on the light squares. Then, it's you give and you get in those kind of positions. I think better as well was to come here because now this e5 push really just weakens some of these central squares for this knight just to hop in. And really the knight is just way better placed on this square because now it can come here to g6 without tempo, without giving tempo to the opponent with e5. And I'm much more familiar with these kind of systems as well. I don't really know why in the game I came here. I was just rushing, to be honest. That was poor from me. Yeah, don't do that in your games, essentially. So as expected, my opponent comes with f4, and I come bishop here. Again, not really ideal, if I'm honest. I think here I probably should have just come h4, because after this gives my knight a very nice square here. I'm attacking the bishop, and after something maybe like drops back, then I don't know. My king's a little bit unsafe in the center, but I don't think my opponent can make immediate use of it. And maybe here I can just start pushing these pawns on the king side, making as much of an attack as I can. Maybe bringing the knight in this way, etc. And this is another plan. Instead, bringing the bishop here means that after my opponent comes e5, I don't actually have a safe square for the knight, and very embarrassingly, I've kind of got to drop it back to g8. After the game, actually, my opponent took the mickey a little bit and went. He was like, "Knight g8 bad. You should have gone b4. Pawn b4 was good." And going through the game with my friends afterwards, we analysed it, and it's not the best move, but it is better than what I played. Because after something like this, after takes here and here, this is just not great for me at all. All of my pieces really are doing absolutely nothing. And these dark square holes are very, very bad. Yes, my opponent has some dark square holes as well, but they are not nearly as bad, and his king is much more safe. His pieces are much more active here. Um, this is not a good position for me. Um, but I just thought it was funny after the game, to be honest, how my opponent, who was literally half my age, um, just started like giving me advice, which is fair enough. He was better than me. Um, yeah, so my opponent comes here, which attacks this weakness, and I've got to defend it. There are two ways to defend it. I was looking at king here, but after something like this, I just did not like this position at all. Again, these dark square weaknesses and this bishop just being an awful piece after something like this. I mean, I could take here, but to be honest, I don't think my opponent would take. I think maybe he just drop back. Actually, no. I can't remember the exact line of analysis. I think it was takes here actually. But keeping the tension here, because if I do take, and let's say they come here. If I do take now, I've just brought this into the game, and also this very, very nasty discovery on my queen. So yeah, that's another no go. So instead, I come here, which is, I mean, it's the top computer choice, but I'm already. Let's turn on the engine. I think I'm already, yeah, I'm already -3 in this position. Not great. Yeah, so my opponent hops in with a knight, which attacks this, so I've got to defend it. And then he hops in with the other knight. And in this position, I was like, oh, balls. He's kind of coming here to attack this twice, and also attack this and attack this. Yeah, that's not great. So I had to defend this. I think, again, better was probably just coming here to defend the square and just take immediately. But I don't know. I don't know. For some reason, I didn't want a pawn here because I just didn't think it would be great. But in reality, it was probably better than bringing another piece to the back rank. Because after this, yes, this bishop is safe, but this position is just absolutely diabolical. Yeah, not great, I'll be honest. And my opponent here. So actually, I'll tell you this. In the game, I thought this position was actually completely fine. I couldn't really see a way for my opponent to break through. If something like this, then I'd happily trade off this piece. Yes, these knights are very, very nicely placed, but actually this knight does a very good job of defending the dark squares here. And after that, I can always come bishop a7 to swap off this dark square bishop, or at least put my bishop back onto a good diagonal. It was in this point where I was like, maybe I should actually have traded this dark square bishop off at the start of the game, because here it's just doing absolutely nothing. But woulda, coulda, shoulda. I know now going into the future, so that's fine. Yeah, a position like this probably would have been fine for me. Maybe coming knight out this way and bringing this knight back out as well. Just slowly developing and just regaining a little bit of control and trading off the key pieces in my opponent's camp. However, my opponent plays the very, very sharp f5. On the surface, it looks like it sacrifices a pawn, but the main idea here is really to open up this dark square bishop. As you can see, my worst piece by far is this dark square bishop, and all of these dark square holes around here are just begging for a dark square bishop to come in this way maybe and attack all these weaknesses. Now here it's stuck behind this pawn, so what makes sense is to simply just get rid of this pawn, right? Now, it turns out that I can't even take the pawn because after something like this, this just isn't great at all for me. I mean, even taking with the knight here is probably good. Or even taking with the knight to begin with, like this. This isn't good at all. And my king is so weak, this kind of thing is threatened. So basically, I can't take, and I can't take this way for the same reasons. Yeah, so in this position, I come bishop here, double attack on this knight, trying to, kick this away. If this knight comes away, then I win this bishop. Yeah, so my opponent comes here, which basically threatens to come here. And now again, I can't do this because this would be after takes here, here. That is a very, very embarrassing checkmate. Like, just take this position in for a moment. This is not very nice. Yeah, and then if here, and I can't stop this checkmate on g7. Again, this is not one you want to be showing to YouTube. But I mean, I am. So yeah, maybe that's a bad thing. But yeah. So in this position, I'm like, okay, what do I do here? I think in this position, for quite some time, I think I have like a 20-minute think, and I calculate that it's actually fine for me to take here, because after this, my opponent doesn't have this this pawn push, which would trap my king here and either threaten checkmate here or attack my king. Now, what I didn't realize, and what my opponent realized in seconds, after takes here, and king here, which is what I played, this just wins on the spot, and my opponent plays this within literally seconds, and I just go, okay, fair enough. Like, he's obviously threatening this, he's threatening my queen. The only move that saves both is this, but then rook here, and this is just not the one. If I come here to defend the mate threat, which is the only move that defends it and doesn't immediately lose my queen, well, he just comes here and yeah, that's checkmate. So not great, I'll be honest. I mean, slightly better here in this position was king here, but actually queen here just wins on the spot as well. If I try and defend my rook, this is just mate in one, and if I try and win the piece, then I mean, among other things, my opponent can come here and this is checkmate as well. After something like this, then here, and here is checkmate. Basically, this knight is better than any of these pieces that I have, and it's a knight. So yeah, not a great game, I'll be honest. Yeah, I literally resigned after 98. I saw all of this, and in this position, I thought I was fine. I literally just didn't see 98 from a distance, which is just a very nice move. It's just a very, very nice move, I'll be honest. Yeah, it threatens this mate, it threatens this mate, which, yeah, like literally when I saw it, I was like, fair enough. I just stuck my hand out and resigned. But yeah, that's this game. Very well done to my opponent. I'm sure he's going to grow up to be like the next Bobby Fischer, the next Magnus Carlsen, the next I Thorny Chess. But yeah, anyway, thank you very much for watching, everyone. Yeah, this is the first game of my Croatia tournament. Let me know if you want to see any of the other games I played. They were much better than this one, I promise. Yeah, and also I'll probably throw in some bonus clips from my Croatia trip of me jumping off cliffs and stuff. So yeah, have fun looking at that. So thank you very much for watching, everyone. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you found it entertaining. Hope you found it educational. Hope you were able to have a laugh at my expense at this slightly embarrassing game. But I hope it was informative and that you learned something about going through your own games. And yeah, thank you very much for watching, everyone, and goodbye. Mwah.
Oh dear.
3,
Tell my mum I love
2,
her. Wait,
1.
no, I'll count.
Okay.
Right. 3, 2, 1.